What's up, bitches and bros and non binary hoes? I'm going to be ranking Street Fighter characters based on whether or not I think they would be transpositive because there's a new Street Fighter collection and I want to hop on the latest trend. Um, Adon. I'll admit I don't know much about Adon, but I know he's kind of an asshole. So I'm gonna err on the side of no. I don't think he would be transpositive. Um, Akuma. Um, well, it's a tough one because Akuma is like a big fan of murder, but I don't think he would. I think he's like an indiscriminate murderer. So, I think he would be neutral in that I don't think he would be anti-trans, but I don't think he would really have an opinion. Um, B. Balrog. I think well, he's based on Mike Tyson, and I don't really know Mike Tyson's exact opinions on trans people, but I think you're meant to assume that Balrog is an asshole, so I'm gonna lean towards no. He would not be transpositive. Uh, Blanca. I mean, do I even have to say it? Of course, he would be transpositive. He if anyone can accept Blanca for who he is, I think he's gonna accept everyone for who they are. You know what I mean? See. And let me just check to make sure. Yeah, okay. Sea Viper, I don't know. Cammy, unfortunately, is not only a clone of M. Bison, who is an evil dictator, but she, in Street Fighter Alpha 3 at least, does a salute that's very similar to a Nazi salute. So I'm going to lean towards no, she would not be transpositive. Uh, Chun-Li, you'd assume so, based on most things about her, but she's a cop, so I don't trust her. Cody, um, I think, as mayor, I'd have to assume his policies are transpositive. Um, and he's like, I think Poison's boyfriend or something, which automatically means he's not transphobic. But I'm gonna lean towards he's probably a chaser. So, But, like, I'm leaning towards transpositive. Yeah. Uh, Dan. I'm not sure, but I think based on vibes, probably is transpositive. DiCaprio, I don't know. DJ, I don't know much about, but he seems like a cool guy, so I'm leaning towards he is transpositive. Uh, Dulcim, um, I don't know much about Dawson's personality, Um, I think anyone who's um, meditated and yogified themselves to the point where they can um, stretch their limbs across the screen probably is pretty chill. So I'm leaning towards transpositive, but I'm not sure. Uh, Dudley, Dudley, I don't know much about Dudley, but I know he is like a gentleman. And to be a true gentleman, you gotta be um, respectful to all ladies. So I would say he's transpositive. Uh, e E Honda. I don't really know much about him as a person, but yeah, I would lean towards probably he's transpositive. Uh, El Fuerte. Again, I don't know much about him. I know he's a chef and a luchador. Based on vibes, I would say yes, he's transpositive. I don't know that for sure. Elena, I know nothing about. Evil Ryu. So he's just regular Ryu, but murdery. And I don't think Ryu is a bigot of any kind. So I'm leaning towards Evil Ryu being indiscriminate in his desire to murder, which would not necessarily make him transpositive, but it wouldn't make him transphobic either. So that's where I'm landing on Evil Ryu. Fei Long. Based on Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee was very chill, and he was willing to train and spar with anyone, even people that were Japanese, which Japan and China doesn't get along well, and they definitely didn't at the time that he was alive. So if he learned any karate, then that probably tells you that he's pretty chill. So I'm going to say Fei Long is transpositive. G. Gin. Don't know much about him, but based on vibes, I'm going to say trans negative. I know he's like an old assassin guy, and that's basically all I know about him. Gouken, I know nothing about. Guile. I don't really trust military people when it comes to that kind of stuff. I know that might be controversial, and I know it doesn't apply to all of them, but yeah, I'm gonna go with trans negative. Guy, I don't know much about, but I know he hangs with Cody. I mean, I will say though, he and Cody both fought against the Mad Gear Gang, of which Poison was a member for a long time. He's a ninja, and that doesn't tell me anything. Ninjas are meant to be mysterious, so I'm going to leave this blank. Hakan. Yeah, I don't really know anything about Hakan, so skip. Uh, Hugo, Hugo, and Poison are friends, so transpositive. Ibuki, I know nothing about. Jurihan. I know very little about her, but I'm leaning towards transpositive. That's sort of a vibes-based assessment for the most part. Okay. Kin Masters. Yeah, so there's two sides of this coin. On the one side, he's been all around the world and interacted with all kinds of people, and he's generally considered a pretty cool guy. But on the other hand, he is a very divorced man, and that can, when celebrities get divorced, weirdly they just have a tendency to go full right-wing. So, we'll call that a 50-50. L. Don't know why M. Bison is an L, but that's fine. Yeah, M. Bison very clearly. Evil Dictator, obviously trans-negative, as they all tend to be. Makoto, I don't know. Sagat is an asshole, and that's all I know about him. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards trans-negative. Sakura, I have no reason to suspect any malice on her part. She's friends with Blanca, so she's probably pretty accepting of people different from her. So I'm leaning towards transpositive. I know nothing about Oni. T-Hawk. I don't really know much about him other than that I think he's like a chill dude. I'm leaning towards transpositive, but I don't know much about him. Poison. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah, transpositive. Vega is a douchebag. I'm leaning towards, well, he's clearly gay, but I'm leaning towards one of those gay guys who's super transphobic. So yeah, that's where I'm at with him. Relinto. I think he's a mercenary, but he's like very military coded. I would say, and he's also specifically evil, unlike Guile. So yeah, he's trans-negative, clearly. Rose. I could go either way with Rose, because on the one hand, like you think, you know, French people tend to be like further to the left. I know that's a stereotype, but like if you kind of look at French people, like usually you would think that. But also, she's into like mysticism and stuff, and there's a lot of that on the left. But also, like since like the QAnon thing, a lot of like the crunchy, like witchy shit has gone full right wing. So I'm going to call that a 50-50. Rufus, I know nothing about. Ryu, cares about fighting, and that's it. So I don't think he has an opinion, but I think if you would ask him, like, how he feels about trans people, he'd be like, okay, I don't care. If you'd ask him like how he feels about like anti-trans trans discrimination, I think he would have a problem with it, but I don't think he has like really an opinion. Yin and Yang, I know nothing about. Zangief. Zangief, I have opinions about. Because Zangief, on the one hand, you kind of assume in modern times that Russian people are transphobic and bigoted in general just because how their culture has gone recently. But if you really look at Zangief's history, he's kind of, he took in Armika, who is a woman who was physically fairly weak, but he said she had like the muscle spirit. I think he would be transpositive, but I think he would have maybe some outdated ideas. M. Bison we already covered. Makoto I know nothing about. A lot of these are repeating, and I think it's because they have the letters in the middle of their names. See, who did we cover here? Seth I know nothing about. Hugh. It's interesting that it's... oh, I see what it's doing. It's like showing Q, but there is no Q, showing the other letters after Q. And that's everybody in Street Fighter 4. Okay, I hope you liked the video, because that's all there is. Bye.